But graduates, as you guys think about your days ahead, you're thinking about evolving from being an almost adult to really being an adult. There's 4 things I'm going to talk about today that hopefully might be some help to you as you start on this journey. So number 1, you're going to experience more freedom than you've ever had before. How you use that freedom is what's going to define the kind of grown-up you're going to become. When the boundaries disappear, you'll face many choices. And it's in those choices, and it's at that time that you've got to decide how intentional you want to be to create your own standards based on Scripture, based on God's plan, based on His boundaries, or stooping down to the lack of boundaries that we see in the world around us. It's your chance to build on healthy boundaries, like good character, like integrity, like trustworthiness, just to pick 3. God loves you enough and loved all of us enough to give us a blueprint in His Word, but He also loved us enough to give us free will about whether we want to look at it or not. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's a phrase I say a lot in my house. I hope it rings true in your ears at some point in the future as you make those choices and decide how you want to use those freedoms in your life. It's not about whether the decision has a consequence. It's about what type of person you were created to be and whether you want to step in and grow into that person or not. Number 2, you're going to make some new friends, whether it's college, whether it's work, whether it's somewhere in between. You're going to be surrounded by new faces, new people, new ideas, new beliefs, different values, different beliefs. More now than ever, our culture is under attack as Christians. It's not just a phase. It's an orchestrated plan. It's been there since the beginning. It's never going to change. We have an enemy that doesn't want what we want as people that want to follow Jesus. And so as Christians, our values and beliefs will always be under fire. But Jeremiah 1 tells us that God knew each one of us before He even created the foundations of the world. And that word knew is a very intimate knew. It means He knew you like He knows your DNA inside and out. And when you think about that, when you think about the fact that God knew that you would be here, class of 2024, you've got to ask yourself the question, why did He place you in this place at this time in history? Why weren't you born 20 years earlier or 20 years later? Why were you never born at all? It means that He has an incredibly intentional path laid out for you if you choose to pursue it. It means that He made you strong enough to rise up, to stand up and to fight for what's right if you choose to. Not to cower to peer pressure, not to be blinded by persuasive arguments, not to be bullied by a crowd. Because who you surround yourself with moving forward matters even more than it has ever before. Whose values you open your hearts to and your minds will shape who you become. This is one of the most critical things for you to protect, because it's so easy to hear something as insignificant as, did God really say you can't eat from that fruit over there? And have no idea of the devastation that is hiding behind that lie. So don't do life alone. You can't carry it all on your shoulders anyway. Find other people. Create community that will help you thrive as you help others thrive. Protect your heart, protect your mind by choosing to grow a friend circle with others who love Jesus too. 3rd, you're going to begin questioning things that you've never questioned before. You might start questioning your faith. You might start questioning your lifestyle. You might start questioning your parents. Who knows? Statistically, some of you graduates will leave home, and not long after, you'll leave Jesus. It's your choice. It's the beauty of free will. But I would encourage you, in the strongest way possible, when you see that thread trying to pull away in your mind and in your heart, that you would run from it as fast as you can, because nobody will love you more than Jesus. Nobody can, and nobody ever will. If He seems distant to you now, press in and find Him. Don't run away from Him. If your faith never felt like it was really yours, now is the time to ask questions. Questions like, why does every other major religion talk about Jesus as being a way to God? But when you look at Jesus, he says, I'm the only way. Questions like, how did hundreds of people see a man alive who was publicly executed just a few days earlier? Questions like, how is it possible that one human being could fulfill over 300 prophecies that were given over a period of more than 1,000 years before he was even born? And just for those mathematicians in the room, statistically, that's the same as a chimpanzee going into a scrapyard and building a Boeing 747 that will fly out all by itself. It's pretty impossible unless God's involved. If your faith is stronger, don't be fooled into thinking it won't be tested. Our weakest time is when we leave the safety of home, the covering of parents, and we venture into a big wide world. The enemy knows that. He knows it's the perfect time to strike. We saw it even in Jesus' life. He left home, he went out to a wilderness, and that's when he faced his challenges. Obviously, he did pretty good. But the enemy's going to come after you, and it's okay, because God knew it, he foretold it, and he said if you read Ephesians 6, you'll find out how to stand against it. Here's an entire list of armor that he's made available to you if you want to follow that. What you believe and how strongly you will defend it is going to become increasingly important in the years ahead. You can stay quiet, but culture wins. Or you can be vocal. You can stand up and you can intelligently speak to bring God's love to a world that so desperately, desperately needs it. When Jesus said, pray for God's will to be done, pray for God's kingdom to come, you do realize that part of the way that happens is through you, right? Today's biggest battle seems to be around gender. Yet we know that God created man and woman distinctively and for a reason. We weren't built to compete with each other. We were made to complete each other. He's God. He's the creator, which is why culture comes after him continually. Because they want to make it as though he isn't. Because they want to be God instead of him. Tomorrow's challenges will just be greater. They'll just be different. Which is why it's so important for you to recognize now what's your place in this world. Yes, you're going to have careers. Yes, you're going to enjoy life. But don't ever forget that more than anything else, the mission is to bring his love to hurting people wherever you find yourself. Number 4, life is going to be infinitely more complicated, noisier, more distracted than it's ever been. The noise, the distraction, constant bombardment of everything, it's all designed to rob you of peace, of patience, and attention. Because if the enemy can keep you distracted, you'll never get quiet with Jesus. So learn those good practices now that will keep you grounded in the future. Make space and time for Jesus in your daily routine today and tomorrow, knowing that even he had to make time in his routine for his Father. I didn't make it as far as you did. I left school when I was 16. It's okay. I'm a little older than you. In those good old days, it was okay to leave school at 16 in England. I went to McDonald's and I flipped burgers. It was a dead-end job. But even then, God taught me that no matter what I was doing, there was always something good that I could learn from it, that I could build from it for the future. So here's one that I learned. CAYG, clean as you go. It never gets old, it never gets wrong. Ask my kids how often I say that phrase. No matter where you find yourself next, even if you've got no idea what you want to do, you can always learn something that will later be beneficial if you look for it. A few years later, I got married, went to college, and we spent the summer in Nashville, Tennessee, interning with some amazing folks, reaching out and helping people that society would rather forget. I was totally unqualified, never used an illegal drug in my life, middle-class white kid, in the projects in Nashville, Tennessee. First time in America. It was great seeing somebody's entire house on the sidewalk as we drove down the road as they'd been evicted and all the stuff was on the street. But I learned 2 life hacks that I'm going to share with you today. The first one is the word glimpse. I say it often, and the older I've gotten, the more I believe in it. Because that was a glimpse of the future. It was a moment in time where God was kind enough to show me a clue about me. And you're going to have them too. God showed me about my heart, about what drives me, about where he wanted to take me. But at the time, I had no idea. I was too distracted. Glimpses show up because God places them there. He uses them to guide us, to show us where our hearts lean and where our hopes and our dreams are headed. And as you begin your next journey, I've got a feeling you're going to see a few of them too. You might not recognize them in the moment, but they're going to be etched in your memory so that later on in life, when you want to look back, they're there to see if you'll just take a second and look. When you're confused in life and you don't know what decision to make, you're struggling with your purpose and who you want to be when you grow up, I'd encourage you to look back to those glimpses and see what God has already shown you, because they can be trusted and they can be leaned upon because they can be incredibly accurate. A few years later, we moved to America for good. I walked away from my first business that I founded, gave it to my business partner. We didn't care. We were going to go change the world for Jesus, right? What could possibly go wrong? I was convinced I'd be the next Billy Graham. And so we left England with 8 suitcases, hearts full of hope for what God was going to do. But it didn't quite work out. My Billy Graham idea definitely didn't. 2 years later, we were flying back to England, feeling like failures, wondering if we'd misunderstood God's nudging. But we hadn't. God waited. Took about 3 years, but we felt that nudge again. Nothing crazy, no donkey talking out of his rear end, just a good old-fashioned hunch. What if God wasn't finished and had something else to do? It made no sense. We were doing great. I was leading the top sales teams in an $8 billion company, making way too much money for a 20-year-old, or 20-something-year-old, actually. I had 2 kiddos in tow. All our family was close by. In the natural order of life, it seemed like we had it all. But we wanted to follow Jesus, and we felt like he was telling us to do something. So we packed our bags again, and we figured we'll trust him. How wrong can it go? The ministry thing made total sense to us because we wanted to help people. But for a second time, things didn't work out. In 2010, I had 3 young kids. I was working 3 jobs, and we were living on food stamps. I couldn't figure out what we'd done wrong. One day, we were in a store, saw this cute little plaque on a wall, had a little white house on it, just said the word dream. We thought it looked cute. We didn't really care about the house, but we cared about the dream. And we figured one day maybe we'd get a home of our own. I'd gone from being one of the most successful 20-somethings in a billion-dollar company to making $12 an hour in a mall, at the Apple store, in the space of 3 years. What a track record for following Jesus. But then one day a guy came in looking for a computer, except he wasn't like the hundreds of other customers that I'd helped. He was a CEO of an international security company that was world famous for kidnap, ransom, and extortion. We got to talking, we built a friendship, and a few months later I went to work for him. I spent almost 5 years working with billionaires and Fortune 50 companies. When I finally left, I stepped down as a chief operating officer with enough money saved to launch my next business. But it was a tough time. We'd come to America because we wanted to serve God, but now here I am working in the marketplace talking about starting a business. I felt like I was abandoning Jesus, that I was doing the wrong thing. And I want to encourage you through the things that I felt, that sometimes when your dreams are big or small, don't hold them so tightly that you can't let go. It might just be that God's got a different one for you. It might just be that it's time to change it. I heard a podcast, and someone was talking about what do you do when you're trying to figure out God's will for your life and you don't have a clue what it is. At the time, it was a really good podcast for me. And I listened to this whole thing, and his wisdom was so simple, I couldn't believe I'd spent 40 minutes listening to it. But I'm going to steal his idea, and I'm going to give it to you today. It's life hack number 2. Follow the favor. Just follow the favor. When you don't know, look back and see where God's favor has rested on your life. Linda and I sat down and we said, okay, what's God's favor been on our lives? We looked back for those glimpses to try and help us navigate what do we do next. We looked at the ministry thing that we tried over and over again, and every time we tried it, just didn't seem to work out. We looked at the marketplace, business, entrepreneurship, and in those situations, it seemed like it kind of figured itself out. Not that it was easy, but it seemed like that's where I belonged. But I still had this burning in my heart that I wanted to do something for Jesus. So we had an idea. We figured we'd start the business, but we'd start a nonprofit at the same time. We'd just fund the nonprofit from the business, then we could do whatever we wanted for ministry, and we didn't have to ask anybody for anything. It seemed genius. 10 years later, I can tell you that it was. Best decision we ever made. We built 3 children's homes for 150 kids. We provided clean water to thousands of people. We've been involved in all kinds of projects all over the world. It's put me around real people where I've been able to have real conversations, more than I'd ever had in the church world. It's given me the opportunity to model godly principles to a team of staff where most of them don't believe in Jesus. And so I want to encourage you as you plan your future and you think about ways to do things and you think about what God's calling you to do, don't limit yourself to think inside of the box. It's okay to find ways outside of it too. It's okay to do things differently. It's okay to do things better. The more I looked into it, the more I realized it was okay because you know what? Jesus spent plenty of time outside the temple too. He liked to be around people, he liked to be in the streets, and he liked to be in the marketplace. So it doesn't matter whether you're going to work in a church or a coffee shop, whether you want to be a doctor or a plumber. God can work through you, and he will, anywhere you place yourself. Just open the door and let him in. You'll find opportunities to help people, to be kind to people, to love on people, no matter where you are in life. Because you can do anything. You can be anything. And you can actually be everything that God created you to be if you will learn to walk in a friendship with Jesus. Because following him isn't good enough. We actually got to love on him. And when we love him, just like when we love other people, we kind of enjoy spending time with them. Don't worry about whether you're on the right path or the wrong path. Don't worry about if you even know where the path is. Make decisions through prayer. Look back for glimpses. Look to see where the favor is that God's had on your life. And if you do that, you'll be okay. No matter what choices you make, God can shift things around. He'll bring you to his perfect path. And if you do happen to veer off to the side, just remember, life isn't about what you achieve. Life is about surfing and riding the waves. It's about the roller coaster of ups and downs that will come no matter what. And what matters is how you handle them. So try and make it fun, because it's going to come anyway, and it's a whole lot better than being stressed about it the whole time. Dream big, dream small. It doesn't matter. Lots of small dreams make a big dream, but dream something. And if you're going to dream, don't forget to do, because if you don't do anything, the dream doesn't do itself. God put you in the driver's seat. He gave you free will. But if you ask him, he'll ride shotgun, but you'll be doing the driving. Today's dream might not be tomorrow's dream. That's okay. They're allowed to change. The key is to make your actions evolve with that change so that it keeps moving forward. We started out in Nashville after we started out in Texas, and after almost 18 years, we moved to Nashville in 2023. Was it a glimpse because we'd been there before? I don't know. We found this fun house. We thought we could build a dream home. The fact that it was burned down didn't seem like too big of a deal to us, so you can watch it on YouTube if you want. And we've learned that if we trust him, if we take steps of faith that make no sense just because we think he's asking, even if we make mistakes along the way, God's still going to be for you. He's still going to be with you. And he's still going to get you to where you need to be. Nothing is undoable in the kingdom of God. But he's going to have to build that story in your life. He's got to build that story with you. And he's got to build it for you one step at a time. There's no cheat code for that. There's no way around it. It's the only way that he can become real in your heart as you walk the path with him. So glimpses are great as you look for them. Following his favor helps too, but remember more than anything else, those 4 things we talked about. You're walking into a crazy world. In the midst of a supernatural battle, no matter whether you feel like it is there or not. So although you're going to have more freedom, how you use it matters. Remember that your friend group's going to change, and it's going to grow, so be intentional and surround yourself with others that will push that faith of yours forward and help you grow into the person you were created to be. Remember that if you feel like questioning things, you're not alone. Ask great questions, though. Don't ask bad ones. And look for great answers yourself. Don't just listen to other people. Look for answers yourself. And finally, remember that as life gets more complicated and distracted, you have to fight harder to slow it down. You have to fight harder to simplify it. But you'll be better off for it when you figure out how to do that. I showed you a little wall plaque earlier on the screen. Linda and I have had it for about 20 years. We found it recently because we were unpacking as we were moving into the new house. We'd forgotten that we even had it. It wasn't about the house that was on it. We hadn't really given it a whole lot of thought. But the idea of dreaming is something that we've thought about a lot. Here's what the Nashville house looks like that we just moved into. Spent about a year rebuilding it, and there's the plaque. Even the weeping willow tree on the right side of the plaque is actually on the right side of the house. It's what I call a God wink in my direction. And he's going to wink in yours too. So I'm proud to share this day with you, graduating class of 2024. Well done for getting this far, but I really can't wait to see where you go next. Thank you.